Good morning, all of you. So, today we are going to focus our attention on one of the most important poems written by Edmund Spenser, entitled as One Day I Wrote Her Name. This poem is a love poem. Edmund Spenser's poem, One Day I Wrote Her Name, has 14 lines written as a sonnet in iambic pentameter and culminating in a rhyming couplet at the end that summarizes the previous lines. Overall, the speaker in the poem wants to eternalize the woman he loves forever. So he writes about her in this poem, which will remain even when she dies. So this is crucial to understand the poem through different perspectives, wherein the idea which takes us far away from the realistic world and it fetches to the world of imagination, to the world of love, to the world of ecstasy. So the poem is composed in its iambic pentameter. It's a sonnet having 14 lines. It has a rhyming couplet at the end. Let's see what the poem is all about. Here is the speaker in the poem who wants to eternalize the woman who loves forever. Love is of many kinds. Here we are talking about the spiritual love. So the speaker in the poem wants to eternalize the woman he loves forever. So what exactly he does is that he writes about her in this poem and he wanted his composition to remain static, to remain permanent, even when she dies. So that is a real love which retains once it is perished. That is a true love which is absolutely unconditional. So let's see all about the poem. Amoroti is a collection of sonnets and poems composed by Edmund Spenser. This title is quite suggestive, meaningful. The works contained therein are all about love. It is specifically designed or composed the courtship and marriage of Edmund Spenser and Elizabeth Boyle. One of the most well-known sonnets from this collection is Sonnet 75. This poem especially focuses on love, eternity, immortalization of love, spirituality through poetry. So the speaker repeatedly talks about his beloved's name The speaker in this poem repeatedly writes his beloved's name in the sand on a beach. Very simple incident which has been presented by Edmund Spenser in this poem is that there is the ocean, there is the beach, the speaker happens to be on the beach, and as we know that there is the sand, and on the sand, the speaker wants to write the name of his paramour or his beloved. So here he writes the name of his beloved on the sand, in the sand, on the beach. But he becomes frustrated again because each time he writes her name, the waves wash it away and erase it. This is quite a very simple experience that one can have. So, what it is all about? So, let's see it. So, here the speaker repeatedly writes his paramour's name in the sand on the beach, but he becomes frustrated because each time he writes her name, the waves wash it away and erase it. So all his efforts go in vain. So in this fashion, Spencer attempts to proclaim and preserve his love, but his efforts are repeatedly thwarted. The waves represent its destructive ability is crucial in this. The waves represent time. The waves demonstrate time and its destructive ability. It's a very simple event the poet has put forth. What is the event which we have just seen here? So here is the beach, and on the beach there is the sand, and in the sand the speaker writes his beloved's name. But he feels disappointed, frustrated, because whenever he writes her name, whenever he writes the name of his paramour or beloved, the waves wash it away and erase it. So all his efforts go in vain. But here, what exactly the poet Spencer attempts is that he wants to proclaim and preserve his love forever. But still, his efforts are repeatedly thwarted. So, here, time has the destructive power. The waves demonstrate time. The waves demonstrate its own destructive ability. So, in this context, the waves are nothing but the objects of the writer's frustration, and they demonstrate, or we can say manifest, or we can say symbolize the inevitable end of all things and people. In fact, this event is a symbolic manifestation of inevitability of death. It talks about the end of or the perishing of all the things and the people here on the earth. So Spencer's goal is to circumvent the power of time, how the time is powerful. And in this context, the poet's aim is to find a way to immortalize his love, even as the waves serve as a cruel reminder that nothing lasts forever. So, there is one more thing I can talk to you in this regard. Very simple example I can say that whenever we look our face into the mirror, we say, this is the face which is the most beautiful in this universe. Because each individual loves his own face, own personality, whatever the God has gifted us. But one thing is quite clear and conspicuous in this context is that beauty never lasts forever. Beauty has its own demarcation, has its own limitations. So we can say that where is the beauty? The beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So it's a perception. But everything that we perceive in this life is not all about beauty because beauty is not permanent. Beauty is temporary. Why? Because it's the time, it's the cruel time that kills beauty. So here, the time is destructive. The time is destructive. The time perishes each and everything. So the same face will have wrinkles and which is going to be old as the days pass. And no one can stop time. And no one can conquer time. No one can win time. But it is said by T.S. Eliot, a modern poet, who is of the opinion that we can win time in time. We can conquer time in time. So let's proceed further. So here, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, and it's a cruel time that perishes beauty, that kills beauty. So the waves represent time and its destructive ability. The waves are the objects of the writer's frustration and they symbolize the inevitable end, death of all things and people. So here the poet wants to make his love immortalized and he talks about the waves which serve as a cruel reminder that nothing lasts forever. So I repeatedly say one thing to you whenever I teach such poems that I lived in Maldives for 3 years. And the event that the poet expresses has already been experienced and experimented by me. I have been on the beach many times. I have seen how it is, how the experience is. So, whenever we look at the nature, we are enticed and our eyes got dazzled due to the eye-catching sight all around us. So here, one thing is quite clear, that nothing rests forever, nothing lasts forever. Everything has its own demarcations, everything has its own limitations. So, wherein the things will finish themselves. So, here the waves serve as a cruel reminder that nothing lasts forever. So, here Spencer's beloved tells him that his efforts are in vain and he is silly for enduring to immortalize her. So, here man leads his life for two things, that is, fame and name. Everyone wants to make his name very famous, right? So, in this context, here the speaker or the poet or the Spencer, he loves his beloved very much and he wants to immortalize her, he wants to uh, make her last for. So, here Spencer's beloved tells him that his efforts are in vain and he is silly for trying to immortalize her love. So here love cannot be immortalized according to the paramour or the beloved of Spencer, the poet, because he says that it's quite a stupid effort to immortalize love. For example, if the name is written on the beach in the waves, and it's the waves that slowly diminish all the efforts of writing on the water in the waves. So this is quite important in this regard. So here she will die at some point. Who will die? That is the beloved. The poet says that my beloved will die some point in the span of her life. And this is quite true. But still, he wanted to make the existence forever. He wanted her to be immortalized, but all his efforts go wasted. All his efforts go in vain. So, when that time comes, she will be erased from existence, just as her name was erased from the beach. So, very simple incident the poet is talking about. Just writing the beloved's name in the views, in the waves, on the beach, in the sand, on the beach, and the waves simply come and they erase what is written in the sand on the beach. Very simple thing. But here it gives us a very big lesson to all of us. So here everyone is born and everyone is supposed to die. There is no one in this world who can say that he will live in this life forever. There is no one who can challenge life and can live more than 200 or 300 years, more than 100 years in the present scenario. Because death is inevitable. Shakespeare has also stated that death will come to you through thousands of windows and doors. So beware of it. In the Christianity as well, the bell symbolizes the forthcoming death. So it's a warning to all the humankind to be well, to live well in the short span of life. So life is very short, and within a short span of life, the man has to be well, behave well, have the best character, and lead his life. And he can carry the virtues with him um, after death. So Spencer's goal is circumvent the power of time and find a way to immortalize her, immortalize his love, even as the waves serve as a cruel reminder and the nothing lasts forever. So Spencer's beloved tells him that all his efforts are in vain and he is still stupid for trying to immortalize her since he will die at some point. When that comes, she will be erased from existence, just as her name was erased from the beach. Spencer tells her that he will preserve and eternalize her and their love by writing about them in his poetry. This is quite important. So let's go through it. So here Spencer tells her that he will perish and eternalize her and their love by writing about them in his poetry. He acknowledges he acknowledges that they are mortal, but his work his work is not going to last forever. Spencer tells her that he will preserve and eternalize her and their love by writing about them in his poetry. He acknowledges that they are mortal, but his work will live and continue to tell his story and proclaim his love even after he and his beloved die. So here Spencer tells her that he will preserve and eternalize her and their love by writing about them in his poetry. The poet acknowledges that they are mortals. This is quite true because man is born and he is to die. No one can stop that. This is the obvious thing to all the human beings on the earth that they are going to die one day. So this is the reason why the beloved of the poet says that the speaker is not going to eternalize and preserve her name, and this is exemplified through a very simple event of writing the beloved's name in the on the beach, in the waves, in the sand. So the attempt of the poet or the speaker to write his beloved's name in the sand on the beach is in vain because the waves perish and erase the name repeatedly again and again. So this symbolizes the continuity of life. This symbolizes the impermanence. This shows that life is transitory and this life, the time is going to finish and perish each and everything and erase each and everything that we create in this life. This is very important to understand in this context. So that's why human beings are mortal and nobody is going to live forever on the earth and continue to tell his story and proclaim his love even after he and his beloved die. So he says that after death, Also, the love is not going to be immortalized. The love is not going to retain and sustain for a longer time after death as well. So this is said that love remains, or love lasts forever even after death, and this is called as the spiritual love. Edmund Spenser's One Day I Wrote Her Name is a 14-line sonnet written about a woman that he loves. So this poem is a love poem. This poem talks about a woman whom the poet or the speaker loves very much. The poet endures to eternalize her in verse so that she will live on forever. What is the dream of the poet? The dream of the poet is to eternalize his love, to eternalize his beloved, to eternalize her in verse, in writing, in composition. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that whatever is being created creatively on this earth and will be read in one of the generations in the future. Suppose we write something, we create books in this generation. Our books will be read in the future, in some generations in the future. So this is quite true, according to the Bhagavad Gita. So here, the sonnet is written and she will live on forever. So this is the dream of the poet, that he wanted his love to be immortal, to be spiritual, to have its permanence forever on this earth or in this universe. The sonnet is written in iambic pentameter with the rhyme scheme, that is AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. So this is the rhyming scheme of this poem. The sonnet is written in iambic pentameter with the rhyme scheme AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. So this is the rhyming scheme, which shows the pattern of rhyme scheme. There is a rhyming couplet at the end of the poem, which acts as the summary of the previous 12 lines. The first 4 lines demonstrates the futility of life, uh, or love lasting forever, like writing in the sand. So here the first 4 lines are quite crucial in this regard. So how it is crucial? So let's see, or let's think about this. The first 4 lines demonstrates the futility of life. The life is futile, or how love lasts forever, like writing in the sand. The speaker says that he does this, writing his sweetheart's name or love in the sand, but that the waves come and wash it away twice. So this is not for the first time the writer, the poet, has written his beloved's name in the sand on the beach at the seashore. This is not for the first time. So whenever he writes her name in the sand, it is being erased by the waves. So this is not the only one time that the poet is doing this activity. He repeatedly does this, and every time he gets frustration. Why? Because the whatever he writes, whatever he writes on the in the sand is being washed away. So this shows that love is no more in front of time. So time is more powerful than love. This we can sense in this book. So let's go through the lines of the poem, what the poem talks about. So I read the lines here. written by Edmund Spencer. One day I wrote her name upon the strand, but came the waves and washed it away. Again I wrote it with a second hand, but came the tide and made my pains his prey. See how beautifully the poet has expressed his ideas, which I have repeatedly expressed here. Still, I repeat here. Look at the lines, look at the words, which are very simple to understand. One day I wrote her name upon the strand, but came the waves and washed it away. Again I wrote it with a second hand, but came the tide and made me pray his prey. In the next four lines, the speaker's lady love tells him that he works in vain to immortalize her. So here, the speaker's lady love tells him that the beloved or the paramour or the sweetheart of the speaker repeatedly reiterates the fact of life, that life is going to be ended very shortly or very soon. Nothing is going to remain here permanently. Everyone has his a short span of life. In my yesterday's lecture for BSc second year or BA second year, the same. I said the same thing. We are here in 2021 right now. Can we see the world in 2000, 3021? In 3021, our existence will be no more. But still there will be the life. The life will have its existence there. But our existence will be no more because we have a very short span of life. And who kills us? It's the time that kills us. This is the solid message that the poet has given in this poem. So nothing remains permanent in his life. Even love is not also permanent. This is a very noble and different concept that the poet, the speaker, has reiterated and elaborated at length in this poem. So in the next four lines, the speaker's love lady tells him that he works in vain to immortalize her or mortal things. He points out that one day she will die, her body will fall to decay as all living things must in the moment. She says that why you love me very much, because you don't know the fact that I'm going to die very soon. She points out the fact of life that one day she will die. Her body will fall to decay as all living things must in the moment. So, what is your identity? Your identity is your body. Your body is your identity. So, once the body gets lost or gets perished or just merges into the dust, the life is nothing but the dust. The life is nothing but the dust. So our human body is going to be a particle in the nature or in the universe. So it will not have any existence. And there is another philosophy about that. In our body, someone lives. That is the spirit, the soul, the atma, the truth, the Shiv, or all these things we uh, understand from the spiritual point of view. So it is said that after our death, the body will be no more, but the spirit will be alive forever. The spirit will go through 84 crores of lives, and we will have take rebirths or not. So all these things are the things of or the debatable points of deeper consideration and contemplations in the rest of life. So here, in the next four lines, the speaker's lady love tells him that he works in vain to immortalize her, a mortal thing. She points out that one day she will die, her body will fall to decay, as all living things must in that moment. She says her name will be lost, wiped out, the letters in. So this life is temporary. Love is also temporary in this context. And who is permanent? That is time. The time is cruel and time is permanent because it perishes everything. So here, the lady or the woman whom the poet loves very much, she points out that one day she will die and her body will fall to decay as all living things must die in that moment. She says her name will be lost and wiped out as the wave erases the letters in the sand. What's the name? The name is made up of the sound. How it is recognized? Because the sound is recognized with the letters. So what's the name at all? Shakespeare has also said one thing that uh, there is no any importance to the name. What's in the name? What's in the name? Call the rose by any name. This will smell nicely. So because nothing is there in the name. What is important is essence, right? The essence is important. Suppose there is the elixir in the glass. Okay, the glass is not important. The elixir in the glass is very important in this context. So this is a very great message that the poet has delivered so brilliantly to all of us. So very great philosophy has been uh, demonstrated through a very uh, simple experience that the poet had on the beach. Her name will be lost and wiped out as the waves erase the letters in the sand. In essence, she tells him to pull himself together. This is the way of life and death. Because they want to stay with each other forever. And she says that this is the life and this is the death. And this is the way of life and death. Wayman said she that dost in vain as she, a mortal thing so to immortalize, for I myself shall like to this decay, and eke my name be wiped out likewise. The author's love for this woman is so great that he refuses to accept what she has said, and she strives to prove her wrong. The poet strongly believes that love is unconditional, love is spiritual, love is permanent, and love can remain forever. And love can be immortalized. So, this is the opinion of the speaker in this poem. The author's love for this beloved is so great that he refuses to accept what she has said and tries to prove her wrong. Here, the paramour or the beloved is of the opinion that love is not permanent, love is temporary. And the speaker says love is permanent. So they talk to each other, they try to convince each other. Other things that are baser may die and rot. Everything is going to die in this life. Everything is rotten. And the poet insists on the fact that by writing this poem, he is going to immortalize her so that long after her death, even the heavens will remember her glorious name. So the name is going to be immortalized. The name is going to be written in golden script to have its perpetual existence on the earth. So that's why after death, many people wanted their name to be written on the epitaph, wanted some lines are written on the epitaph after death in the grave album you can come across. So on the epitaph of T.S. Eliot, a modern poet, it is written that in my beginning is my end, in my end is my beginning. In my beginning is my end means everything in this life begins and everything in this life ends. In my beginning is my end, and in my end is my beginning. In my end is my beginning means the life will have its life even after death. We don't know the world after death, but there are some critics and philosophers who are of the opinion that there is the life after death. So that's why it is said that one can understand the life after death only when a person dies. So this is the unpredictable reality of the future. So all these things are quite interesting to know through this poem. So the poet is going to immortalize her so that long after her death, even the heavens will remember her gloriously. So this is a conspicuous fact in life that each individual wants his name to be permanent in this life. Each individual wants to keep some memorable, permanent traces behind his life. In Marathi, it is said, "Marave pari kirti rupe urave." What does it mean? It means that after our death, the people should remind us. After our death, the people should understand us, understand our philosophy, understand our creative works which may have been created by you. So this is the inner feeling, innermost feeling of each and every individual on this earth. Because everyone wants his name to be broadened, to be enlarged, to be permanent in this universe. But it is not going to be happen. This is said by the beloved of the Paramount in the poem, who is of the opinion that the love is temporary. Because nothing is going to remain permanent on this earth. Nothing is going to be glorious. In this, he is now not speaking of her natural beauty, but her spiritual loveliness. So here the poet is not dazzled by the natural beauty of the uh, universe. He is not speaking of her natural beauty. He is not talking anything about the beauty of the paramount, the beauty of his sweetheart, but he is talking about spiritual loveliness. Every person is good by heart, right? And bad by superficial activities and actions. He seeks to immortalize not the physical beauty of the beloved, but those spiritual qualities of her spiritual beauty. He's talking about the spiritual quality of the paramount, of the beloved. He's talking about the spiritual beauty of the paramount rather than the physical beauty of the beloved. He's not interested in talking about the eyes and face and the beauty of the beloved here in this context. Perhaps he is not only promising that men and angels will remain her and she will live on, but some essence of this woman he loves so passionately will live on in him with these words. He is not only promising that men and angels will remain her and she will live on, but some essence of this woman he loves so passionately will live on in him with these words. Not so, let baser things devise. To die in dust, you shall live by faith. My verse, your virtues rare shall eternize, and in the heaven write your glorious name. So let's see what he says about this. The poet says one thing, that life is a dust, but the poet is of the opinion that his beloved shall live by fame. He says that his verse will eternize her, and her name will be glorious in the heaven as well. The rhyming couplet serves to summarize the poet's intent, the motive, that the speaker sincerely attempts to share and make us understand about the theme of love. He claims that the rest of the world will pass away, the rest of the world will be no more, be subdued by the circle of life and death. But his love will allow them both to live on in this verse. So their love will remain permanent through his composition, through his writing. Where death shall all the world subdue, our love shall live and later life renew. The poet strongly believes that people pass away, men come and go. This is the reality of life. Ruskin Bond, the writer, has also said that men come and go, but the mountains remain forever. Words eternalize a person so that he or she may live or on beyond the boundaries that apply to most humans. The theme of immortality achieved through literature is not uncommon. So here the poet talks about the theme of immortality. So the poet believes that while people pass away, words eternalize a person so that he or she may live on beyond the boundaries that apply to most humans. The theme of immortality achieved through literature is not uncommon, and in all the years that have passed since the poet's inception, though we do not know her name, we still remember his love for her, which does live on in verse. In Sonnet 75, Spenser's "One Day I Wrote Her Name," he claimed to have found permanence in the monument created by art. There is one more thing which is also permanent. What is that? That is the art. Spencer believes strongly that by eternalizing the beautiful essence of her spirituality, she will live on in the next life. What's important is the spirit, the soul. So, on the basis of the soul, one can live forever. There is no death of the spirit, there is the death of the body only. And through the life of the soul, my beloved is going to be permanent in this life. This is the opinion of the poet. So he strongly believes that by eternalizing the beautiful essence of her spirituality, she is going to live on in the next life, as will their love. The love is permanent because the end of time on earth. So here, life is the beginning Death is the end. But what about love? Love is permanent, which never perishes. Spencer believes that by eternalizing the beautiful essence of her spirituality, she will live on in the next life, as will their love beyond the end of time on earth. So, this is a very noble concept which has been presented here by the poet, and he talks about the beauty, time, eternity, love, and spirituality. So these are the different aspects and perpetual essence of love. So this is quite interesting to know about this poem. So in this fashion, the poem is Oha, and we stop here. Thank you very much for spending your precious time with me. Thank you very much.